What is going on, everybody? This is your gracious and humble host, Lamont, joined by Roddy.
Hello.
This is the We the Youth podcast where we talk about young people stuff. I'm 22, Roddy's 21. Kind of old, but it is what it is.
Ancient.
Today we'll ancient. Today we'll be talking about social media in the election. It's been a wild time on the Twitter. I mean, Facebook's a wild place, but I don't trust Facebook at all. Facebook is the
Least
inferior.
reliable source.
It's the inferior app.
Inferior.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about Twitter and candidates campaigning on Twitter. Maybe YouTube a little bit. YouTube was a big source of campaign ads. Did you get any campaign ads watching YouTube?
At least two per video at some points. It was bad.
The big one
Annoying.
where the big one where I'm at is Christina Hale and Victoria Sparks. I could not get through a video without seeing one of their faces, and it was terrible. But I mean, it's something you have to do.
Yeah. Here was Pritzker, Biden, and Trump. Nonstop.
It was Prisker.
Our governor, Illinois. Uh, he spends a lot of time in Chicago. To say the least.
Springfield's the capital, right?
Yes, sir.
Ask a Chicago and that they'll say Chicago's the capital. Somebody I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, "Oh, is Springfield in Chicago?"
Oh my God.
I was, I've never heard something so bad, but yeah, we got YouTube ads going on. It's a must. It's understandable. There were candidates actually spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on YouTube ads, which makes sense. I mean, you have to get on social media to get seen. Just like Twitter, like you have candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who are on there religiously, and then you have Donald Trump who's on there religiously. I
Beyond
mean,
religiously. My goodness.
yeah, I mean Donald Trump tweets like he's our age.
Literally. Like you wake
Honestly,
up and you missed at least 20 tweets overnight.
speaking of Donald Trump, do you think Donald Trump's tweets hurt him in the election?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's the reason why he lost?
No.
I don't know, man. I feel like it was so close that if he would have chilled out on the tweets for these past few years, he might have pulled it off. But then
His
again,
actions matched his tweets, though.
yeah, I was gonna say, but then again, if he didn't tweet like that, I know some people wouldn't have voted for him. Cause some people
I
loved
do,
it.
yeah, I do see your point though, because that man was tweeting 24/7, like
Yeah.
quote unquote vamping.
Vamping. If anybody doesn't know what vamping means, vamping is when you're up until 5 in the morning on Twitter.
Very old slang, but nonetheless.
Really old slang. Maybe like 2014 Twitter slang. But speaking of 2014, did you know Twitter was created in like 2006, I want to say?
Wow.
Yeah, Twitter was created in 2006. No, 2008. Facebook was
Still,
2006.
yeah, I know about Facebook. I didn't know Twitter was created that early.
Yeah, Twitter was pretty early, and that was actually the year Obama was elected, and Obama was on Twitter. In the year it was created, campaigning on Twitter,
Wow.
which that changed the game. I think that's what made wow, Trump was actually the president after Obama. I mean, he laid down the foundation.
Yeah, Twitter is definitely the elite social media app, especially when
Yeah,
it comes to spreading reliable information.
yeah. There are a lot more verified accounts like CNN, AP, other sites like that reporting information. Even the politicians themselves, even though sometimes the information might be a little skewed, it is what it is. It's still reliable information. It's not cousin Belbert on Facebook saying, "Oh, oh, the NAACP said stay in the house if Donald Trump wins." I mean, it's just different. But while we're talking about the use of social media, I wanted to get to a quote by a professor I interviewed by the name of Andy Downs. He's a political science professor at Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. He basically said that nowadays you have to have a social media presence, otherwise you're going to be missing out on a lot of votes. Do you think that's accurate? Just opinion based, purely opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I no doubt.
Is it just the young, or do you think it's older voters too, like middle age, like 30, 40?
Honestly, I think it'll affect younger and older people the most. The in between is really up in the air for them. But I know older folks, they believe everything they see on the internet.
Interesting you
Like
said that.
a lot of older folks I know, they'll like send me posts of some off-brand news site saying, I don't know, some prominent artist who knows everyone knows is alive has passed away, and it's like that person is definitely not gone, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Granddad, they just tweeted 2 minutes ago. But there's actually a research study done by Pew Research Center that said 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds use social media as their main source of political news. Like
I definitely fall under that.
not even like considering like online apps, like just looking on Google, that's a whole different thing. This is strictly social media. And then 40% of age 30 to 49. And then I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was really, really low for age 50 plus. Like,
Hmm.
it was probably around 8%. But overall, social media is the leader now over television,
I
which is
definitely understand that.
which is insane. I mean, it's understandable. Nobody has cable now. But that's besides the point. I
Shit,
don't
though.
I don't know anybody. I mean, we have cable because of sports and whatnot, but my parents are old school. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think one reason why social media is the most prominent news source when it comes to politics is because when it comes to news channels, as you go across each channel, everyone has like their bias. You know, all the reporters are told to report a certain way and kind of build a narrative without actually building it directly. As to where social media, you just get it how it is, and you have to form your own opinion.
You know what's actually really interesting about that? I interviewed a guy from Washington. Oh, I keep saying a guy. A professor, actually, the director of political science at Washington State University. And they actually put out an article that said TV is far more biased and partisan than social media. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm not
Go
sure
ahead.
why that is, but why do you think that is?
Uh, I just think it just. I mean, this is opinion, obviously, but I think it ties back to how media first started. You know, we started out with newspapers and stuff like that, and even newspapers had propaganda in it. So, as news channels started to form, every channel just had their niche and kind of stuck with it over the years.
Social media is just kind of get your info, put it out, get to know me.
Yeah,
It really is. Social media is such a get to know me thing now. Like, we literally saw a politician on Twitch. Like, Twitch is a streaming website that where people play video games. If somebody who's listening to this doesn't know,
right.
we saw Alex AOC. I'll say AOC. Her name is really really long, but we saw AOC play. What game was it? Among Us.
Yes.
with famous YouTubers, gaming YouTubers, like everything is so personalized. Like you know your politicians' dogs' names. You know everything about them. Where like 10 years ago, if I looked at TV, I wouldn't know anybody's dog's name. I wouldn't know anything about them. I'll just know that they hate the other candidate, and that was
Yeah.
that.
It's ironic you brought up 10 years ago because I was going to say 10 years ago when social media first started, everybody was just kind of getting their feet wet and saying, very little. But now we're to a point where people are very open on social media, a little
Yeah.
too open at points. But
Do you think that
like,
openness can help candidates?
uh, yeah, or it won't help candidates, but it'll definitely help the people get to
Yeah.
the information we need out of the candidates. Just because as we're becoming more open on social media, we expect the same out of them.
Hmm. I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like it'll help people like Joe Biden. I actually feel like it'll help people who are likable. Like Joe Biden has dogs, and you know how crazy Twitter is over dogs.
Yes.
Like a post of his dogs will get maybe 50,000 retweets, a couple 100,000 likes, and millions of interactions. And those will honestly be people that support him to the end. And it's honestly, it's ridiculous, but it's what today is.
Fair enough. But social media is also convenient for those people who like to pry politicians beyond the surface and their possessions. Like you can get both. You got the people who like, oh, he likes dogs, I like him. And then
Hmm.
there are some people who are like, what are your stances on humanity? And they have
Yeah,
to sit there and tweet what they feel about the world.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you see politicians actually tweet about that. Like when the whole Black Lives Matter thing was going on, you saw a lot of politicians like stand their ground, and you also saw a lot of politicians basically denounce Black Lives Matter. Like it
As some
was,
type of yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was a war zone then. I mean, it still is a war zone because COVID is such a big topic and people are really scared of that. Like we actually, yeah, Twitter's a split place, Facebook's a split place, but nobody's on Facebook. I just want to reiterate that.
Ooh. I don't know about Facebook being a split place.
I don't
Actually,
know.
I saw an article about them being more right leaning, like overall. They definitely let propaganda from right leaning politicians slide more often on that site as to where it's more 50-50 on Twitter, just because you can't stop fake news all the way, obviously.
Yeah, and Facebook is a place of fake news. Honestly, I have family members that get their news religiously from Facebook, and you can tell their views are a little inaccurate. I'm not gonna say who they voted for, but and their reasoning of voting for them, but their views are definitely inaccurate. They really don't know much of what they're talking about.
Sounds similar to when you listen to Fox News watchers talk.
Hey, I mean, it is what it is. Does Fox News have Twitter? Or do they tweet the same way
I
they.
I know they have a Twitter presence, but I'm pretty sure their presence is more heavy on Facebook.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. If you said Facebook is more right leaning. I definitely know Twitter is. I feel like Twitter is more left. Maybe it's just the people I follow, but it's definitely
I
far
think it's
more
naturally
left.
going to be left with it being more young.
That true, true. I forgot most young people are Democrat. But there was. Did you also see that chart that said like if people under 30 voted, and then like the electoral college map?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so there was this map that like had different demographics, like people under 30, people under 25, women, men, black women. Like it was just separated by demographics. And then it had the electoral college map of who would win. And literally almost every case, the Democrats, well, Joe Biden won, except for if white men and white women voted. Like,
That's a bit funny.
and I honestly think it wasn't even from the younger group because for like under 25, Joe Biden won in a landslide. So I'm like, it has to be the older Caucasian people voting
Yes, I
for,
agree.
yeah, and they're not on Twitter. Let's be honest, they're not on Twitter.
But that strikes me a bit odd though, because the main talking point behind most people who vote for him is the whole tax break thing. But I'm pretty sure not every old Caucasian person makes 400K a year or more,
Oh
unless I'm
no,
misinformed.
yeah, I know a lot of poor people that talked about the tax break. They're like, oh, Biden's gonna take my money away. Like, bruh, no
Sir, you
offense,
make
but
15 an hour.
yeah, you work at McDonald's, buddy. You're good. Like, I actually worked at Lowe's over the summer and had a guy tell me about that. He's like, oh, on Facebook I saw. I'm like, bruh,
Delete Facebook.
do not get your information off Facebook. At least make a Twitter. Get some accurate information. It doesn't even have to be left leaning. It just like literally
It's a
AP
balance.
is, yeah, AP is fair. CNN is fair, or at least what I consider fair. I mean,
BBC
they,
is mostly fair.
yeah, BBC is fair. Um, I think what I consider to be fair is accurate. Like they might say bad things about Trump, but like there's a lot you can say about him. Let's be honest. There's a lot of bad you can say about him. But they'll also dig into Biden as well. But it is what it is. It's a big circle. Nobody knows what's going on. We're just living in this world, and it is what it is.
Yes. Social media is definitely like as lucrative of a tool it is for marketing and gathering information. It can be just as dangerous, just because the false information and whatnot that can be spread.
It really can. I mean, and we haven't even tapped into like the advertisement
Oh
perspective.
man.
Like, man, at least it's not as bad as TV. It's more so, oh, we want to do this for you and do this for you. But it's a good way to get your face seen, though.
I agree.
Like, in Indiana, our Democratic candidate, Woody Myers, nobody knew who he was because he did not run ads. He posted on social media daily, but he did not run ads, so he came across nobody's screen.
Yikes.
And you know how ad driven like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that are now. Like
Yes. It's bad.
Instagram is literally half ads now. Instagram is owned by Facebook, by the way. Instagram is almost all ads now. Facebook is ads. Twitter is turning into ads. I feel like if you really want to get your face seen, you have to have ads, and that was something he did not do.
Yep. Especially since now you're getting ads of things you've talked about recently.
Yeah. All you have to do is say Indiana in the sentence, and your phone will show you a governor ad. Like,
Literally.
I think our governor, I think he spent like 300 something thousand dollars on ads between Facebook and Google.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and that was low. I think like in one of our U.S. House races, there it was more spent, but I don't have the numbers like directly in front of me. But it gets ridiculous. It gets hefty, but this is what you need to do to win.
I feel like the only instance where you'd be able to win without ads is if you're saying just really off the wall, terrible things to get attention, kind of how Trump was in 2016.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people related to his off the wall terrible things.
Yeah, they were waiting for it to be said by somebody, let alone on a public platform.
Yeah, but a lot of the things he said was what America was built off of, so a
Hmm.
lot of people are gonna relate to him, but I don't relate. I
That's
am
a
black.
definitely a lot of unboxing in that conversation for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time here. We're gonna have to go to our sports segment next. So we'd like to wrap this up. This is the We the Youth podcast, and that was our politics and social media segment. Thank you for listening. We'll be back in a couple seconds. Bro.